All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners that have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. And what I want to go into today, we're just dealing with, how, we come, all right, from a legacy of conquerors. Now, I touched on, a few things yesterday, speaking on how, we come from a legacy of greatness, but I want to home in how, we come from a legacy of conquerors, and us growing up in this society, through Esau's, social conditioning and social construct, you would have never thought, that we was actually conquerors, all right, back in the day, back in, in our prime, you know, going back into the times, all right, of Joshua. You read Joshua chapter 10 and 11, Joshua was going in, all right. You read how the Lord was always aiding us, against these heathens, destroying other kings of other nations. You see, in the name of Yahweh by Shema Shai, you go into the time of the Maccabees. We was never linked, to those legacies. Our legacy always started from the plantation and made it seem as if we involved into something great, from the cotton field, to the free throw line, and that's the evolution of a nigga. That's a nigga legacy, man. But we understand through the scriptures, all right, that we come from legacy of great men. Now, what I want to home in is, dealing with King David, which we are the house of David, and David's story, represents the elect, you know. So what I want to start with is Romans 8 and 37, which I expounded on this in transit, but let's get it. This is Romans 8 and 37. It says, nay, in all things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. You see, and we're more than conquerors, man, and we come from that legacy. Let's get that word conqueror and see, does it give us anything? All right. All right, it says to be more than a conqueror, to gain a surpassing victory. You see? So it's an overwhelming victory, man. And the victory that we got coming through your house shot is going to be an overwhelming victory, man. It's going to be a blowout. You see? When the standard is lifted, for the men of the Lord, when your house shot returns, it's going to be a blowout, But just going back, all right, into the account, dealing with David, all right, thou would die, beloved, which is, like I say, it's the story of the elect, the house of David, the house of the beloved. You see, this is Sirach 47 and 1. It says, and after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David, and it says, as is the fat taken away from the peace offering, so was David chosen out of the children of Israel. And see, the elect, beginning with the 144,000, were chosen from amongst the rest of Israel. All right, as we can get in Revelation. Let's get there in the book of Revelation 14. All right. And this is Revelation 14 and 4. All right, 144. All right, and it says, and these are they which were not defiled with women. All right, for they are virgins. And it's talking about the women, is speaking of other philosophies. You see, other philosophies haven't penetrated us, as a virgin hasn't been penetrated. Well, since we've awakened to the truth and this knowledge, and proclaim our faithfulness to Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shai, all right, nothing else has penetrated us, man. Nothing else has entered into us. All right, that's those spiritual virgins. And said, these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. They were redeemed from among men. You see, so we was brought out from among men. The rest of the men of Israel, there was only 144,000 whom the Lord, all right, brought out to draw nearer to himself, you know, and to begin to what teach the rest of those, that were predestinated for salvation out of the nation of Israel. You see, but it begins with those 144,000 men, and then the rest of the 1/3. All right, and it says these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. You see, and you go into first fruits. All right, just as David was superior, you know, during his generation. Now, when you go to the word,
Strong's G 536. Aparche. Aparche.
all right, and it goes in, it says, get the third definition. It says, person superior in excellence to others of the same class. Yeah, so amongst Israel, there are superior, all right, spirits, you know, whom the Lord chose, all right, to himself, man, you know, who amongst all, Israel, all right, just as David, because when you go into David, all Israel, was afraid of Goliath. You see, but the Lord there was a special spirit, all right, on David, all right, and he was chosen out to be great, man, you know? So in this ministry, man, it's such a big task, you know? I mean, it's such a privilege, it's such a privilege to be, possibly, even the possibility to be called out amongst all of Israel for something great, man, you know? What more could we want, man? How could we not be engulfed in this, man, knowing the legacy that we come from, man? You see? So let's go back into it. All right. Now, let's get back. Matter of fact, let's get that. Because Yahweh Shah said the same thing. When Yahweh Shah was praying to the Father, for the elect in St. John 7. All right. Now, this is St. John 17 and 14. It says, I have given them, all right, the elect, begin with the first fruits. I have given them thy word, and the world have hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Yeah, so the elect are not of this society. Who we truly are. That's why, brothers have stories how we never really, just fit in with everyone else. It was like we was always forcing it, you know. That's why, because we was really never of this world, man. It was a point in time when our pure minds would be stirred up, and that's why, there's a hatred amongst the majority of our people, because we're adverse to this society. They're in sync with this society, you see? And it says, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but thou shouldest keep them from evil. Yeah, so we're still in the midst, of this society. We're still in the midst of wars, as the scriptures say, you know. But guess what? The Yahweh Shah prayed over us, that we will be protected, from the evil of this world, man. And that's why we gotta stay in close, man. We in the time we really gotta stay in close to Yahweh Shah. It says, they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. All right? So we are not of this world. Why? We were separated. It says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. Yeah, so through the truth, we've been sanctified. This is what's, isolating the elect from everyone else in the earth. It's the truth. You see, this is what's isolating us. Our decision making is based on the true doctrine, the true word, the true understanding. And this is what's separating us from everyone else, man. You know? So let's go back into the account. All right. And it says, Sirach 47 and 2, it says, as is the fat taken away from the peace offering, so David was chosen out of the children of Israel. He played with lions as with kids, and with bears as with lambs. Spiritual power. You see, that's another part of our legacy. That's a part of the inheritance of the sons of God, is to have this outer world power, that this world can't fathom. And that's coming back. You see? And then he said he played with lions as with kids and bears as with lamb. Now, when you go into the scriptures, all right, the scripture refer to uh, this is Psalms 28 and 15. It says, as a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. All right? And who's that wicked ruler? Esau Edom. Who's the ultimate wicked ruler? Esau Edom. And the scripture referred to him as what? A lion and a bear. All right? And it said David played with a lion and a bear as with a lamb. You see? Showing that what, man? The house of David was meant to overpower, all right, this wicked ruler, man. And it's going to be through a standard. You see? Let's get it. It's going to be through a standard being lifted. Because you go to Psalms 44. All right? This is Psalms 44 and 4. It said, thou art my king, O power, command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us. In the Most High we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever. Yeah, so we know, all right, that it's going to be through a standard. All right? It's going to be through a standard that this man will be overcome. That's why we're not big on guns, man. You don't see us, at the gun range. You don't see us, promoting, weaponry, as a part of salvation. No, we know it's gonna be a standard, all right, because we come from a legacy, all right, of our forefathers having standards lifted for them, man. This is Psalms 18 and 34. And this is David speaking again. It says, he teaches my hands to war so that a bow of steel is broken in my arms. You see that? So Yahweh Shai can down, you ain't got to be a black, triple black belt, jujitsu, multi-weight class champion, man. The Most High can put it within you, all right, in the time, if it's time to get down, he can put within us, all right, the wisdom to fight, man, and the power to go with it, all right. He said he broke a bow of steel with his arms, man. That's some power, man. That's unearthly power, you see? So that's part of a legacy, and why? Because we're, all right, conquerors, man. The house of David are conquerors, man. When David was in power, what was going on? You see, when he when he came into power, how was David getting down in the earth, man? You see, this is First Chronicles 18 and 1. It says, now after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them, and took Gath and her towns out of the hand of the Philistines, and he smote Moab, and the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. And David smote Hadarezer, king of Zobah, unto Hamath, and he went up to establish his dominion by the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,000 chariots and 7,000 horsemen and 20,000 footmen. David also hewed all the chariots, horses, but reserved them 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadarezer, king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 220,000 men. So David is just wreaking havoc on these heathens, man. And then when another heathen try to help another heathen, they got the business too, man. You see? This is the legacy we come from, man. It's much greater than what was presented to us within this captivity, man. It's far greater than that, man. And that's the legacy we're coming back into. You see? Then David put garrison in Syria, Damascus, and the Syrians became David's servants and brought gift. Thus the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shah preserved David whithersoever he went. Yeah, and the Lord was with it. You see, because Christianity has warped, you know, the God of the Bible so much, you know, his son so much, and they don't even, touch on David like that, except for the Goliath story, when they got, you know, when they failing in school or something, they behind on bills, they whip out the David and Goliath story as a motivation speech, but they don't really go into what it is, man. You know, what does that represent, man? You see, it says, and David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadarazzer and brought them to Jerusalem. Likewise, from Tabbath and from Con, cities of Harazah, David brought very much brass, wherewith Solomon made the brazen sea and the pillars and the vessels of brass going into the temple. You see, because David became very wealthy as a ruler, because he was conquering, man. He was conquering and spoiling. And that's what we about to do, man. We finna conquer and spoil the earth, man. That's another thing, like, brothers, don't be, still, all right, on this in this mind frame of chasing Eve, or so infatuated with this society, and overexerting yourself trying to get the bag. We finna get everything, man. This is nothing, all right, and it's America finna be destroyed. The people and the majority of the people in it. We got the whole earth to look forward to, man. Yahweh Shai is coming to do this very thing, man. To conquer and to spoil. We finna get the best of the best, man. And it's a thing of patience, and we all, have to apply patience, man. We in the flesh, sometimes the flesh, where the flesh will get beside itself, or we don't, tame it, man. Speaking to myself first. And it says, he sent Hadaram, his son, to King David. Um, I'll just jump down 13. Yep. It says, moreover, all right, this verse 13 says, moreover, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, slew of the Edomites in the valley of Salt 18,000. And he put garrisons in Edom, and the Edomites became David's servants. Thus the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai preserved David whithersoever he went. Yeah, so David, all right, King David, was a conquering king, man. They always talk about Alexander. They all talk about Xerxes, and they all talk about Julius Caesar. But when it comes to David, they try to minimize his story. They act like he just fought Goliath and retired, man. No, man. Hey, no other nation became a superpower quicker than King David, man. No other nation became a superpower quicker than King David, man. Because even with Alexander, his father before him had already united, all those Greek city-states, and that's why Alexander had that, he inherited, a nice-sized army, you know. But see, when it's talking about just becoming a superpower in one generation, no one did it like King David, man. And that's the legacy that we come from. Now, let's go back to it. All right. It says, verse 4, it says, slew he not a giant when he was yet but young, and did he not take away the reproach from the people when he lifted up his hand with the stone and the sling and beat down the boasting of Goliath. Now let's touch on that account real quick, as they took away the reproach of the people. You see, when King David fought Goliath, the stakes was high. The stakes was very high. And like I say, that changed the whole, it changed the whole spectrum in that region of the earth, in the known world. When David beat Goliath, that wasn't no small thing, man. All right, imagine if China was to take America out. You know how much things would change in the earth if China was able to subdue and conquer America, man. Just throwing out a scenario, it would be everything would change. The standards in the earth, the different, the vibration, everything would change. Well, when King David, took down Goliath, man, that catapulted Israel to be a superpower, man. You know, it was a big move. All right, and we'll just know, world star fight, man. You know, and we're gonna get the account. All right, this is First Samuel 1:17. It says, now the Philistines gathered together the armies to battle, and were gathered together at Succoth, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Succoth and Azekah in Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain, all right, on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath, and Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, and he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass, and he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulder, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and the one bearing and one bearing a shield went before him. And so this nigga, all right, this nigga got all the accessories, man. All right, this he looking like the last nigga. All right, you fight on Mortal Kombat, man. You know, this the nigga you fight after raiding, man. You know, Goliath. You see, it's a big, huge nigga, man, with big, huge weaponry, man. Sound familiar? All right. And it says, and he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, why are you not out? It said, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Because they was both in battle formation. All right, one Israel on one side facing the Philistines on the other side, facing Israel. They was in battle, formation. Other words, they were squared up. You see, and David came out from, Goliath came out from amongst the Philistines, man, talking big shit. You see, and it says, am I not the Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. You see? Then shall you be our servants and serve us. So if Goliath won, then Israel would have to go into captivity to the Philistines. And if David, well, whoever from Israel, this was before they knew David, was gonna step up, But if a champion from Israel won, then the Philistines would go into captivity. You see, everything was on the line. Hey, the stakes was high, man. And David rose up to the occasion through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai. So it wasn't no light thing. Like I said, it wasn't no world star, all right, Facebook live fight, between David and Goliath, man. A whole nation was on the line, man. And David prevailed, man. You see? And when you able to, as a kingdom, when you can obtain human resources, more servants, that's a big upgrade and an increase within your kingdom, man. You see? Now, when you go to First Samuel, all right, and this is when David, is ready to go against, all right, Goliath, and I just want to read this one part, all right, First Samuel 17:45, and it said, then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai of hosts, the power of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. You see, whom thou hast defied. So King David knew that Goliath was through based on what he seen Goliath doing. All right, what he was speaking against Yahweh Bashim Shai, just like Esau Edom is doing today. You know, we know if we can't base it on nothing else, we know this nigga is done based on the fact how the way this man is running the planet Earth. You know, the way that he has his mindset to go directly against, you know, the the standard of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. This man is in complete opposition to our power. So we know this man is done. You see, he threw, and King David knew that these Philistines were through, man, just based on the fact that he, you know, has been blaspheming the name, you know, of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, you know. So David, you know, had full faith in his power, man, you know, and that's what made him a great conqueror, was that faith he had in Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, and that's the legacy, you know, that we come from. Now, I just want to get this to show that Esau Edom is coming in that same spirit. Because when you get Ezekiel 35:1, it said, moreover, the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Shai, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. And Mount Seir are symbolic of who, man? You know, Esau Edom, you know, because that's where they originated from, in that land. You see? So the Lord is instructing Ezekiel to prophesy against Mount Seir, and the Lord is going into, you know, the charges against this man. All right, this is Ezekiel 35:13. It said, thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Yeah, you see? So the Most High has heard the blasphemy and you know, the pride, seen the pride, and this man's actions in the earth, you know, because his actions speak louder than words, man. This man's actions in the earth has been nothing but blasphemy, you know, and rebellion, man. You know, this man Esau is doing nothing but acts of war in the spirit, and it's gonna come a time where, hey, that house of David gonna catch hold to this nigga, man. You know, and I end it here. I might do a part 2, you know, going to the, you know, the spiritual conquering, you know, but it's gonna be a physical conquering as well, you know, in these times, you know. Um, let's get that in Zechariah 12. All right, this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 12, verse 8. It says, in that day shall the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as the Elohim, as the angels of the Lord before them. And the Lord is going to defend us. Why? Because we trust in his power, man. You know, we trust in his goodness, man. You know, the scriptures say he is not righteous, you know, to forget our works and labor of love, man. And he's gonna give us what we need in the time, just like David got what he needed when in his time, man, to defeat Goliath and to go on conquering these heathen nations, man. The Lord equipped David with everything he needed, man. You know, to make him a great conqueror. You see, and we, all right, are coming back into that legacy, man. That's why I say this is much greater than anything, all right, that Esau Edom presented to us as some type of prosperity or greatness, man. You know, this far exceeds that, man. You know, and you brothers are part of something great, man. We gotta think of ourselves, you know, not in no proud way, you know, not boasting in ourselves, man, but boasting in the goodness of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai and his glory and his power, you know, because he has no limit, you know, and we gotta look at ourselves in a whole nother light, man, from what this world constantly tells us that we are, man, you know. So I just want to bring that out, you know, Lord will, you brothers and you few sisters edified. Like I say, Lord willing, tomorrow I do a part 2, you know, finish up in Sirach 47, you know. Until next time I say Shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah Ba Ba Ba.